Lines podcast. Blurred Lines is a movement where we'll explore the intersection of career, church, and community. With my guests, we'll have a conversation about life, career, advocacy, discipleship, leadership, all of the things, and we hope that you will be inspired by our conversation to live a fully integrated life. So let's get into it. Hi, welcome back to the Blurred Lines podcast. I am Zanae, and today I'm here with Tammy Butler Robinson, who is CEO and founding partner at Engaging Solutions, which is a management consulting firm, and then pastor or former pastor of the House of God Church. So I'm excited to get into what all of that means. I also was reading your bio, and maybe I should have known this, but I didn't know that you were a state rep for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, so I worked for Representative Bill Crawford, who was the chairman of Ways and Means. So I was his fiscal analyst.
Gotcha. Okay, yes. So you got some political stuff.
You kind of promoted me, but thank you for letting me guys.
Okay, gotcha. But still, the political stuff, the church stuff, the career, which is really the point of this kind of movement is like, how do we live and navigate in the intersections? I don't remember when we first met.
I know.
I have no idea.
I was trying to think, was it the chamber? But I feel like I knew you before then.
We knew each other
but
before.
Just didn't really we're leaning in the same type of way.
Yes.
So it's just been great to get to see you move in these spaces, and you bring so much to be deposited. And I just appreciate who you are authentically. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And I remember, I definitely knew you before I got to the chamber, and I feel like I had heard you speak or pray or something, and I was like, oh, she's definitely like a church girl. There's something happening. Then somebody told me that she pastor, and I was like, it makes sense. So then I was like, okay, pastor, CEO, like, this is cool. Because at the time I was a first lady of a church, and
that's right.
Being a woman in ministry, in leadership, and also corporate America, people don't talk about that.
I know
a lot. It's like separate spaces.
Yeah.
So want to get into that a little bit.
Okay.
But first, like when I sent you all the stuff, when I talked to you about Blurred Lines, just like what did that immediately like say to you, or how did that resonate?
It took me a minute to digest it. Really. It was like blurred lines. And then I was like, oh, okay, if I really think about it, you're in community, you're in church, are walking in your faith at the same time. You are a mother, you're a female pastor. And for me, it's just like, important to have authentic deposits that get made and that God cultivates it, at the end of the day, because there was a lot of times when I would be in a space of exhaustion because it was really my self-will versus his will. And when I learned the difference between, it was like, oh my gosh, let me rest.
Right. Oh my gosh, this is the third time today, and it's still early, this word rest has came up. I woke up early this morning like 6 and was just replaying the to-do list, everything that happened this week, what I still need to do, all this stuff. And then I opened the Bible app, and the scripture was, God has instructed us to rest just like he did on the Sabbath, X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, all right, I need to turn this over to him. And then I'm working out, and I was listening to another podcast, and she was talking about rest. And now you mentioned it again. I'm like, all right, God,
affirmation.
What are you trying to say? Right. So after this, I'm going to go rest.
This is the third time on the third day.
So I'm like, okay, what are you doing this weekend? I am resting. Actually. Okay, so let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
So, where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? How'd you get into church and work and all of that.
Okay. Born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
My family is still in that area. My father is a pastor. But prior to being a pastor, he traveled with James Brown and did all of those things most people today are like, now, is that the same guy?
Yeah. You mean like D. James Brown?
Yeah,
right?
D. James Brown.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll never really forget it because I was young. I'm trying to think exactly what my age was at that time, but there was a revival that took place, and Bishop Mary Ravenel was leading the revival. They had known each other, and she just called him to bring microphones to the church because they didn't have microphones at the time. And so he was at the nightclub, and then she called him to bring the microphones, and after a period of time, he ended up sitting in the back of the church waiting to put everything together. And in doing that, he just, God called him to the altar.
Wow.
And then not long after that, my mom turned her life over to the Lord. And it was like our whole life changed, my brother and I, because, like we had a bar in our house downstairs. We had people, would come and convene, just as friends, nothing crazy. But it was like when you saw, I'll never forget, like I was getting ready to get off my bus and I looked and it was like everything was on the sidewalk.
they were cleaning house.
Yes,
literally.
like he literally, like when my dad said, I'm going to live for God, he did it.
Wow.
He just leaned in,
Sure.
and every single day, and the people that nurtured him, I'll never forget. Elder Jones, Deaconess Jones, who's like taught us the Word of God and how to understand it, how to digest it, and how to teach it to others. And I'm grateful for it today. Of course, as a child, I was like, what is happening?
What's going on?
Right.
Are we not having fun anymore?
Yeah. Do we still get to go to the fair?
Right. We're just talking to Chantel, and she was saying her church she knows was doing bowling, and she's like, it's great because at church we don't have fun anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those whole components. So it was quite an evolution, and I think when my dad was impacted, that was one thing. When because my mom is very quiet, and she's a crier, and she just like, and as literally at that age, I'm like just watching them like, what is going to happen with the rest of their life? Right. And then you're like, oh wow, God is serious, and so then at myself started like, before we were playing house, but then we started playing church, like, so the kids would come over and everybody, and it was like, everything just evolved in a way where we kept getting closer. We didn't understand it fully, but kept getting closer and closer and closer to who God was.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Then for college, career, where did you...
So, Ball State.
Okay.
I did University of South Carolina was my undergrad.
Okay.
And so that's where I did college and pledged Delta. During that time.
Okay.
And
you just had Founders Day.
Oh yes,
right?
yes, all of that. Oh yes,
Day,
thank
congratulations, all the things.
yes. And then. After that, I got a scholarship to Ball State University in the urban planning program.
Okay.
So Dr. Linda Keys, who was will be forever my mentor. Yeah. I don't know if you knew Dr. Keys ever passed her path, but oh my gosh, such an amazing woman. Okay. And so when we came, we did not have a lot. At all. I remember my dad, like the night before we were coming to Muncie, Indiana, he was rolling coins, like, and I was putting them in Ziploc bags, and we were doing, like all this stuff to just like, do we have enough? Right. And when we got to Muncie and, went to Toddleson and all that kind of stuff, and my dad, they were basically able to get us into the dorms, and then they took the Greyhound bus back. And so as soon as basically they had pulled off, Dr. Linda Keys pulled up.
Okay.
And it was this Black woman.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who is she? You know? And when we connected, she was just like, what do you have? And I was like, well, I didn't know it wasn't going to be furnished, fully furnished, you know, like, because I'm thinking it's like apartment style, you know, whatever. But it was like a different segment of the campus. And so she was like, this is what I'm going to do. You're going to get a job and I will get you furniture and then you will pay me back.
Wow.
And then she was like, and I have a son that needs to have some babysitting. If you want to take that job, you can use that money. I mean, like, that's,
wow.
It was just like, okay. And she has since, you know, passed away. Her sons, Everett and Ryan, I stay in contact with them. And it keeps her present in my life.
For sure.
You know, at the same time. So,
yeah. Do you feel like, was there at any point in college, did like church or God, I assume, kind of follow you through your college journey, or was it like, I'm in college now, I'm not really thinking about it?
No, we had revivals in our in our dorms, you know.
Because at that point, were you preaching yet?
No, I wasn't preaching.
Okay.
It was just that, well, one was that every Sunday they would pick us up, take us to church, feed us after church, you know, and so it was like these connections, you know, that were being made. But then also by attending the church, it kept me connected to my faith. Right. You know, was I a college student and all these kind of things, but I still had that connection. I was always like, okay, I'm not gonna let go of that, right? Because I don't want to get way out here, and come and take too far to come all the way back, you know. And so it kept me grounded, and I think Dr. Key was a major part of that, because oftentimes she was like, just come stay here for the weekend. You know, and so she would do those things, and so it was like, and she would just tell stories like who she was and all of that. So
that's great. It's great to have somebody that kind of sees something in you, because she probably felt something to like grab onto you like that.
And she told my parents, because my parents were nervous because you know, like, I've never had left that far from South Carolina to Indiana. It's a 12-hour drive, right? And she just was like, I have her. She's good. What do you need? You know, and that's what she did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so after college, you get your degree. And
then my first job is in Anderson, Indiana. And so then I worked under, do you know Teresa Jeter? Okay, so Dr. Teresa Jeter, also from Muncie, like these two, another amazing Black woman. And she was running, so at that time, General Motors was basically building a plant in that Muncie Anderson area, more Anderson than Muncie area. And so then what she did is she created an internship for me to do community engagement and let people know what was happening in the community and what their thoughts were about, you know, so all those things that you do in that regard. And she just, I mean, she was a woman in this kind of GM space. You know, so smart. And once again, just took the time. Linda knew her. Linda asked, you know, do you have an opening for an internship? And she said, I'll make one. And that was that journey. And then fast forward, she actually ended up working for Engaging Solutions, you know, for a good period of time, and just, you know, everything, you know, you need people that you trust in your corner, right? And I wasn't sure when we were first kind of standing everything up. You know, I knew my partners, but then now trying to build out a service lines. And Teresa was there, and so she was like the, you know, the angel in that period of time.
Can we, and I don't think this is part of the questions, but like I wanted to talk about the importance of, I don't know if we call it mentorship or just, you mentioned the two women.
Yeah.
And even us as now career professionals, the importance of giving back and lifting as we climb. And it doesn't have to be where we're doing it for everybody, but just that responsibility to mentor or make space or care about other people, where I don't know that a lot of professional folks as adults feel that responsibility. So I don't know if that's because like we grew up, we were people of faith, or is that just like a different calling that we have? Like, because I always want to encourage people, like, you don't just go to work and go home.
Right.
We should mentor these young people. Go talk in high schools. Go do the things.
Yes, and help them connect the dots.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you've gotten the degree,
right,
and now you've graduated, and what?
Right.
You know, because you've done all of this work to get the diploma, you know, in your hand, but at the end of the day, what is the real yield of that you're trying to deposit into this world?
Right.
And that's what, you know, oftentimes I think gets overlooked and not framed, and then people are like, you know, and 5-10 years later, they're still trying to navigate, you know, those spaces. But a lot of it is, you know, connecting with somebody that will help to shepherd you through.
Yeah. Even if you still don't feel like you got it all together. Right. But even if you're 35 or 40, you can still help somebody that's 22, 25, you know? So, like, it's like you don't have to have it all together in order to, like, share.
Because we all got some stuff.
We're still trying to figure it out. You hit one milestone and you're like, all right, what's next? I don't know. I may change careers.
Exactly. It's like, you know, when I was trying to figure out, like, okay, am I going to keep pastoring? Am I going to do this? Well, what will I do? You know, I remember when we were at the sermon, at the service, and they were kind of doing the changing of the guard. And so, like, here's this award for you, you know, that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, it's really nice. And, you know, and then it's like, okay, but what do I now do?
Right.
You know, and so I kept like having this thing with God. I'm like, okay, so what do I serve in community? Do I serve, you know, like, because I am a doer. And so it's like, okay, what is the deposit I'm making?
Right.
Because I'm always looking for like, what's that return, you know, that is to happen.
Yeah.
So, it's been interesting.
So you were co-founder of Engaging Solutions.
Yes.
And then you were a founder of the church as well?
Yes. So, the Indianapolis Church.
Indianapolis Church.
Yes. Well. So we started as like a mission, you know, in my home, and then just grew. And then after a period of time, we were like, okay, we need to find a building. And so we started doing that search for the building, and I just forgot his name. He's gonna kill me too. I hope this gets deleted in this part. Fred Yankee.
Yeah.
So Fred Yankee. So his mother took care of my kids.
Okay.
Yes. And so she, you know, dropping off, picking up everything, always prayed over me. Always was, you know, something that she was sowing into me. And at that same time, I was going, you know, like, okay, I think God is calling me. I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And she really walked me through realization of what God was trying to do. And don't make it hard. Yes. He's an easy guy.
Yes. I never met... I think her name's Miss Anxious.
Yes, Yankee.
But me and Fred went through the same SKO class. And when we first met, and he found out just my involvement in all the church stuff. His mom wrote a book about being a woman pastor and leader, and she gave me the book, and I need to follow up with her, just kind of say things. But I think that is great advice, because we overcomplicate it. Yeah. Because we see this infrastructure of church, and you maybe have to do it this type of way. Yeah. Everybody doesn't operate that way. Right. So it can be overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming. Absolutely. And it's just almost like when we talk about the apple, right? You know, how do you digest it? How do you one bite at a time? You know, and I think so often we're trying to take all of it in from Genesis to Revelation, and it's like, hey, slow down, wait a minute, right. Because there's some things that God specifically wants that scripture to be for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So, do you think? Do you feel like your career and your purpose are connected? Do you feel like I've always viewed them as separate?
Connected all the way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think because of the fact that, like, I was with my father, he was an entrepreneur always, you know, and he brought that in, you know, even once his, you know, all the bar and everything was on the sidewalk, you know, he removed stuff, but then at the same time, there was still a lot of things that he was doing to impact community and church, you know, at the same time. Yeah. And just caring for people that oftentimes would be overlooked because they're like, hey, he's smoking this, or, you know, this just happened with his wife, or this, you know. And my dad was always like, and? Yeah. You know, and so I think that's what becomes important because it's the serving the least of these. Yeah.
How do we help people make that connection between career and purpose? Because even with, like, for me, and I tell people this all the time, accounting as a career is not the most, like, purpose driven. It's not the most sexy career, you know. It's just it could be very tactical, depending on what you decide to do. But what I've done is align my purpose in the way that, like, I want to help people, specifically small minority people that have been left out, and I do that with my career because I have a skill set that they don't have, so I can help you make sure you got your stuff together.
Absolutely.
But then also talking to try to get other people into the profession and provide opportunities, and so I don't just go to work. Like, that would probably be a lot easier, but I've aligned, you know, purpose because like there's a greater call to just help people.
Absolutely.
How do we get other people to think about that? I don't know why I'm like that. I'm like,
no, I agree with you, but I think we have to be ambassadors for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, there's sometimes I see people navigating, they haven't mentioned one word to me, but their spirit will speak. And it's just like, okay, I'm going to pray. You know, because that person has, but then there's fear too.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I know sometimes people will use that false evidence appearing real, and it's, you know, that self-evaluation that is happening and taking place to say, can I stand in that spot? You know, am I going to buckle at the knees?
Yeah.
You know, well, maybe it's okay if I buckle at the knees. As long as I can keep moving, I can get back up, I can do, you know. And that's really, like, even for me, like, going through divorce was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I had no idea what it would feel like, what it would look like. And when my kids, my oldest son, BJ, his brain, because he is a high learner, and his brain could not reconcile it. And so he went into a space where his language changed. I could not interpret it. Brian could not interpret it. We had to take him to the hospital, had to admit him, like every single day. And it was so interesting. We would go, they gave us 1 hour because I had escalated it to the CEO of the hospital. And I was like, look, this is my son. I mean, whatever has to happen, whatever we have to pay, we will do what we got to do. And so they allowed us 1 hour, 1 hour a day. And every day we would go in and we would just start with, like, this is you. And he may say something, he may not say something. And then the next day we were able to go, and then we would do something else. And then that next day he had taken the picture and put it in the bottom of his shoe. I didn't know what that meant, but I'm like, okay, maybe it's foundational, maybe he's standing on something. But it was like every day he was getting clearer and clearer.
Yeah.
You know, and we just kept showing up. Our 1 hour, we were going to be there no matter what happened. I was like, I'm sorry, ES. Like, this is where I have to be in this moment. Yeah. And today, it's just so interesting. Like, even, was it maybe 2 days ago, BJ brings this big box and he has created something else. Like, he creates something and I was like, BJ, what is this? You know, so he opens up the box, he shows me all the pieces, how everything gets connected together, how it all works, you know, how he's trying to get his when you signing off on it or whatever, you know, stuff. And today, it's like, when I look at him today, from being at the hospital, you know, and knowing where he was, and then at the end of it, because he had gotten mad at God, because he was like, how are you guys getting a divorce? This makes no sense. Right. Like, we go to church every single day.
Yes.
So it was like, so
it makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. He could not, right? Like, he just was like, I don't understand it. I don't. And it was so interesting. The second to last day that we went into the hospital with him, the only book, because he's a reader, and he's a fast reader, and the only book that was left was a book about God, because he was mad at God.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not.
Right, and so this one book on this, like, it was just crazy, because you're like, God, really? Is this what? And he just anchored into the book. Yeah. And it was like, each day, it just got better. It got better. Yeah. And navigating that. Yeah. Not just the divorce, but then dealing with your son stuff. Yeah. And career. And career. Like, yes, exactly. Exactly. And you're like, okay, God, what's happening? Yes. That's what I so thank God. I just surrendered. Right. Yeah. You just had to surrender. My mom came and stayed for a long period of time. And so it was just her being there was like stability, you know, for him. And then, you know, now looking back, like, yesterday I got home and he had delivered this box. Like, he creates something every day. Yeah. And I opened it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how did you create this? Where? So it's like, it's a flower pot, right? That he created. It has, you just, if you were to go to Walmart and you put the plant on the top, but you know, he's 3D'd it, built it all out, done the whole, I mean, like, it's just, you know, so he has so much in him. And so I'm excited about where he's going to go. At the same time, I'm like, slow it down. Yeah. How old is he? He is 24. Okay. Yeah. So how did you, because I guess what I'm hearing, like, there's seasons where, even though I wear all of these hats, I got to step back a little because there's something else I need to focus on. Yeah. Was it easy to, like, recognize that? Was it easy to just say to work, like, hey, I gotta be over here and this is taking on my focus? Is it easy? I know it's not easy, but, like, did you recognize in that moment, I need to make a shift? I have to make a shift. And at first, I was very uncomfortable making a shift because, you know, I was working for a bill. I was working for the state budget agency. I was working for Medicaid, director of Medicaid. I was working, you know, so you're in these roles and people are like, hey, honey, no, you don't get a day off for that. You got to be downtown, you know? And so that balance was a lot to navigate. Because you're like, well, if I leave this job, well, I won't have the insurance, you know. So it's those realistic things that happen in your life, right? And then how do you attend to it? And so my mom coming here, you know, to be mom was everything I needed. Yeah, I think sometimes it takes me too long to recognize when because like we were talking about earlier with the rest. I feel like God. I've never been a big like audible guy. You hear him just kind of like sitting down, which I would love. So that's me too. And I'm like, God, can you please just come and sit here and tell me what you need me to do? Because like, so he'll give me like different signs or I'll see, but it really takes me being tapped in to like,
I got to be consistent with my
Yeah.
reading and my devotion and who I'm talking to, and then that's how I kind of get the confirmation. It's like me having to trust what's on the inside.
Yeah.
Because also like navigating divorce, but then like I've got this brand.
Yeah.
And I've got this career, and I have this. What do I do with it?
Yeah.
And so just like not forcing it. So like I also took, you know, a year or two off. Like I gotta figure out what's happening. But I think it took me a while to even recognize that it was okay.
Yeah.
Like I knew I had to take a step back because
Yeah.
my ministry wasn't gonna be the same.
Yeah.
I had to call it something different.
I know.
I had also changed jobs at the time. So I feel like I was becoming a different person.
Yeah.
But then I felt guilty for not doing the same things in the same way. And then at some point it was like, oh no, like you needed to take that time to step back. And like I got confirmation from God. But I think sometimes it is hard for people to recognize like when the shift is happening.
Yes.
Sitting in the shift.
Yes.
And then when it's time to like re-engage or whatever.
Yes. And it's so important for people that know you or have discerned you to be able to say, it's all right.
Yeah.
I know that what they're saying is like, you got to have that amendment by tomorrow, but take care of your family.
Right.
You know, and so when you can get those moments where people will come and give you whispers is what I call.
Yeah.
One, we should listen and respect it. Because then sometimes even in them giving you the grace, you're like, oh no. I'm a champion.
Right. Yeah, and it's like no.
No, exactly.
Well, and then sometimes for corporate world, we also, especially as people of color and women, we don't trust it.
Exactly.
So it's like, I hear you say
right,
because
are you going to get me back later?
That's right. Yeah. Or time for promotion, and now you're like, well, you weren't here, or you know. So I think that's where it's like, all right, I gotta trust God that like I need this time. They're saying it's okay, and then whatever in the back end, God's gonna take care of it.
Absolutely.
Because there's that distrust that we have for people.
It is,
and it happens.
Yes, and we really, I think, is to making sure that we trust God. You know, because in all of it, it's the people noise. You know, and so when it becomes God's word, His voice, when we can hear Him, and then that's when we have to step back. You know, push back our plate. You know, be willing to put the flesh under subjection so that we can have clarity of understanding. Yeah.
How do you think? When we think about leadership, because obviously you've led in different spaces, church people, corporate people in the community. Has faith, you think, played a role in that? Like, how does that show up?
Definitely my faith. I love people.
Yeah.
That's a part of it. I mean, the reason that I could stand in a lot of those moments, it was the people that were already the most vulnerable, didn't have the most dollars or anything like that, but they had words of encouragement, or they had a story that they could tell me that I could hold on to, you know, in those moments.
One thing about the movement, and I don't define the movement as like a discipleship movement, but really that's the core of what it is. And teaching people, you're not just a Christian or a follower of God on Sunday or Tuesday. You're also like representing the faith and God throughout the week. And so how does that show up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when you're at work and you're in hard conversations and dealing with difficult people? And I think sometimes we don't use the tools that we have from a faith perspective in navigating like corporate or career conversations, right? And I've gotten better with it, I think, over the years, because I'm like, God, I can't do that. But I don't, you know, like navigating like even a salary negotiation or promotion or you know, you're not getting along with a coworker or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Sometimes people, when you're at work,
Yeah.
you forget to apply
Yeah.
the biblical principles there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why do you think there's that disconnect for people sometimes?
Well, I do think, especially when we talk about corporate place,
Yeah.
right? And church, people, it's like a dividing line,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That exists.
Right.
And so when you're trying to, in church, care for the person who just stubbed their toe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to care for that person. Well, the person on your job, if they stub their toe,
Yeah.
we got to bring some care.
Right, right.
You know, and so it's not necessarily that the lines are separate.
Yeah.
It is just how we can come together to uplift whoever it is
Mm-hmm.
and whatever they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily for us to solve. And that's something I had to learn,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a solution person.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I want it usually in 24 hours.
Right.
I want a
Right.
24-hour solution.
I don't like complaining or like, okay, what are we gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Because if you just want to complain, I'm not your person.
Right.
I am not your person.
Right.
What you want me to do?
Exactly. I was like, you can write that down and send it to Santa.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult. Like for me now, my expanded role includes HR, so
Yeah.
I'm being stretched.
Yeah.
Because I'm a solutions person, but now in the
Yes.
HR role, it's like actually you just need to listen.
Yeah. That's.
And I'm like, but what do I do with
Yeah.
this? So then I'll call our HR consultant, like, hey, I just heard this. Like, do I need to do anything? She's like,
Yeah.
not yet. We just like, I'm like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
So
We'll document it.
we'll just
That's
document
it.
We'll just document it.
When I found that out, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, document, just
Yes.
document that.
Yeah. But then you gotta let it go. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand. I couldn't be a therapist or a counselor, and because like if people are just dumping on you all day,
Yeah.
like that's a lot.
It
And
is.
even for pastors too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I see what God's doing here
Yeah.
in ministry, and I'm very careful not to call myself a pastor, but I
Mhm.
like as a minister too, it can be the same.
Yes.
And
Because
like,
people
well, how
want
do
to
you-
hear from someone,
Mhm.
right? So they're going to keep accelerating it
Yeah.
until they can get to
Right.
the answer that they want and or need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like navigating that in the corporate
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a little more frustrated, I think, which is part of why I'm kind of building this, is for believers, for
Mhm.
Christians, we have to be better representatives, like
Yeah.
everywhere.
Oh, that's so good.
At church,
Mhm.
but also at work
yeah.
and our community meetings. Like,
Yes.
you go to these community meetings, people are just acting all type of way.
Oh my
You go to
gosh.
work and people are doing all type, and I'm like, but you go to the such and such church.
Yes.
Like, what are
Yes.
you doing here?
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm like trying to solve that.
Yes.
Like, what have we missed?
Oh my gosh.
Equipping people to navigate life outside of the four walls of the church.
I think that there's also a mental health component to it
Mm-hmm.
in full reality.
Sure.
You know, if you just think about, just keep flipping back.
Yeah.
So much has happened.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And that person still has to get up, get dressed,
Mhm.
take their kids if they have kids,
Yeah.
you know, still has to bring groceries, still
Right.
has to, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then make sure that they got their stuff together to make their presentation.
Right.
You know, like,
Right. And they don't have
It's-
time to. They can't.
right. to
Sometimes,
breathe.
Yeah. And I remember going through divorce, and then some other relationships began to suffer, and I'm like, I actually don't have emotional
Yeah.
capacity
Yep.
to deal with this over. So
Yeah.
like whatever's gonna happen over here, we just
Yeah.
because I'm still trying to figure out my own stuff.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what you're saying now
Yes.
too, for people. Like we're navigating
yeah.
so many things happening in the
Yes.
world, in the communities. I can only focus on I gotta go to work and do these
Yes.
things.
Yes.
I don't have emotional capacity
Exactly.
to navigate some of the other
Right.
stuff.
Yes.
So how do we do?
Yeah.
How
And
do we
that's
help
to
people
me
with
where
that?
you insert prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because prayer is praying to God.
Yeah.
You're having a conversation with Him. It doesn't have to be flowery.
Right. Right. Yeah,
You know, He just wants to know your need.
Right.
And then at some point in time, there will be a response back.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes.
You know, and so then what happens? Patience. What does the scripture say? Right. Patience possess ye your soul.
Yeah.
And I had to, I studied that scripture so much because I'm not very patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah. And
when you can embrace that and just know that also it possesses my soul and my gut.
Yeah. And that's saying that it's in us already.
Right. Yes.
And I remember, I think I was in high school and I realized I'm not really a patient person. And so I feel ever since then, I'm praying for patience. I stopped praying for patience because I'm I feel now God's testing me. You keep moving the line. I'm I feel I've been patient here and you didn't move the line. Now I'm mad, but I was patient.
Remember, he wants to take you all the way there. You gotta go
all the way. I'm no, wait a minute. I didn't. By the time
You're they just did the field goal kick. We're done.
We're done.
He's no, you got a couple more yards.
Yeah. I'm why do you keep moving the line? It's higher and higher here. But that scripture reminds us, it's already in us.
It's already there.
And you talked about love and patience, and these are the things that we.
Yes.
This is
these
how we
fruits
should
of the spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we have to lean into.
Yes.
That's the keeper of my soul.
Right.
Is what I say. It's when I can look at one of those and be able to see and understand, okay, and then sometimes I just have to say, Lord, create in me a clean heart.
Yes.
Renew
a
right spirit within me. Because things do come in like a whirlwind. And you're did I just have that come out of my mouth? Oh my gosh.
Right.
Lord, forgive me.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's Joyce Myers had a book, Battlefield of the Mind.
Oh, yes.
And that's real. And I have to always remind myself, whatever things are pure, whatever things are holy, whatever things are kind.
Yes.
Think on these things. And I'll think on some, but I'm having arguments with people in my head. It's never going to happen. Why are you doing this? And now you done went to this meeting with these preconceived notions.
Yes. You have to just delete.
Stop doing that.
I literally had to just delete. I'm gonna delete this. This is not necessary. Yeah. And then what really matters, Yeah. And I go back to BJ because here he is trying to reconcile his brain on this.
Right.
Am I really gonna this stuff here?
Yeah. I think last question, or maybe one of the last questions, as we talk about integration across spaces, community, work, church, there was the popular term, bring your whole self to work.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm careful to not say that. I think we should be our whole selves wherever we are, but that doesn't mean there's a still professional nature that we have to operate in. So there's that line, but I think when I say be one full whole person,
and authentic. I think you can. I think you can be authentic. Do you still have to walk within some? I think there's always going to be lines. Or borders. Maybe that's better. That exist. And it's important, because if not, things can just go all over the place. Right. And so there has to be order. That's what I want to say. And God is a God of order. Right. So I think if we can operate in order, then even though lines might be blurred, there can be understanding.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's fair. I love that. I have some rapid fire questions.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's one word answers. Okay, six questions just to kind of see how you think about things. Okay, first question. Work, community, or church, where are you most present right now?
Community.
That's good. One word for this season of your life.
Love.
Clarity or obedience?
Obedience.
Okay. Are you early season or in the building season?
Building season.
Morning or night person?
I feel like I don't sleep.
So nice.
So
maybe.
I could be up, but I could
Right.
just be going to bed and getting up like 2 hours later.
Right. Quiet time. Is your quiet time structured or organic?
Organic. I love my quiet time.
Okay.
Mostly, especially now that I'm an empty nester because BJ bought a house.
Yeah.
And so I am like, I got my blanket,
Yeah.
I'm on the couch,
Yeah.
just like watching crazy stuff,
Yeah.
to just turn off the noise of
Right.
things that are happening.
Right.
So yeah.
I love that. I was going to share. So part of this is people can go online and share stories of how they are living blurred or in the intersections.
Oh.
So there was one person, Tia, that submitted her story. Much of kind of like what we're talking about. So she says, I believe I had to separate who I was in the church from who I was in professional spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, I realized that my calling was not confined to one setting. It followed me into classrooms, boardrooms, community centers, and more.
Mm.
So one example that she talked about was overseeing workforce development programs for young adults. And so she was able to use her professional skills for program design, data tracking, relationship building. But then on her faith side, it compelled her to advocate for honesty and dignity and accountability when she said when cutting corners would have been easier. So she's learned that living blurred is not about forcing your faith into spaces, but it's about living with integrity everywhere you go.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
So good.
Yeah. So we talked about authenticity,
Authenticity,
authenticity, and then integrity. And I think that's really
they go
what
together.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's really
That's
good.
it. Yeah, that's good.
Well, thank you for this conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate
Any
it.
lasting words or comments or any advice for folks navigating the spaces?
I always say, to thine own self be true.
To their own self be true.
I just, it's me who has to look in the mirror every morning. And so just be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And even if you have to whisper it.
Yes.
Because you don't want the person to hear you.
Yeah.
But allow yourself to be free, to evolve, and to be anchored. Because I think that's, when things get rocky, sometimes the anchor, starts to shift, but we need it, to keep us solid.
Right.
Yeah.
I love
At the end of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate you.
Yes. Well, thank you for tuning in to Blurred Lines podcast. Again, if anything resonated with you, please go online, share your story to be featured on the podcast or on social media, and we'll just continue to encourage you to live in the in-between spaces with integrity and authenticity. Till next time, bye. All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Blurred Lines podcast. If you would love to continue the conversation, if you want to share your story, we would love to hear from you. Go to liveblurred.com and share with us any experiences that you have. It may be featured on our podcast and our newsletter, or even having you as a guest on the show. So until next time, live blurred.